I wanted to talk about resetting your baseline. Now, what I mean by that is that we all have a emotional, spiritual, physical baseline. If you're in constant pain, then if that stops, it's going to feel like you're on ecstasy. If you are depressed and then suddenly you're just mildly bitter, it's going to feel like elation. But this happens with regard to our place in the world as far as our environment. There's this traditional idea, parents especially have this idea, they want to give their children things that they did not. They want to make their children's lives better than it was for them. And the instinct of that it makes total sense. It's a very loving instinct to try to provide things that you never had. But if you ever watch like the My Horrific Sweet 16 or some of the crazy MTV shows, you get a glimpse into people whose parents or whatever have raised their baseline so high that they think that just standard normalcy is new clothes, new car, the right new car, everything's right, and getting their will all the time. And so then when anything dips beneath this crazy line, they have the reaction of atrocity. It's like if you are raised with breakfast in bed from a butler every morning of your life, then if that butler got sick one day, you'd panic and think that the world was ending. Or maybe we ran out of orange juice. Oh my God! Meanwhile, across the world, in most places in the world, simply having a glass of drinkable water is considered a spike in that line. If you are struggling every day to find drinking water, then to come into a pitcher of water would be like yeah. Imagine how you would live in the world if you could somehow keep your baseline at that state of everything is a wow, wow, wow. I don't mention the people seeking for water as a urging to like feel sorry or feel guilty. Sometimes we go to that place of, eat your vegetables because people in China are starving. And that's a tricky thing. That can be a tool to reset your baseline. But it's important not to do it of like, oh my gosh, I feel bad for my blessings, therefore I need to, stop. I mean, that can turn the equation to an entire thing of guilt, which does not serve you. Now, what you can do is just simply say, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm lucky to have this. Awesome. In the water example, someone mentioned me recently, and it was a total game head, whoa. We're talking about how clean water is such a luxury for the majority of the world. And yet, societally, we pee into bowls of drinkable water several times a day. It's crazy. Now, I don't mean that, you should feel terrible and, start peeing in the yard. Although, I am a fan of the phrase, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. With one caveat, that if it's yellow, let it mellow, unless you're leaving town, in which case you should flush before you go, which I learned last weekend. But I digress. I've done studies with lottery winners, where they really look at this baseline idea, where they've tested people before they won on what their average level of happiness was. And then they won the lottery, they had access to anything they wanted, and they had this huge spike right when that happened of like, whee! And then after several months, they came back to their baseline. The stuff did not matter. It was their baseline, and adjusting their baseline, adjusting their state of gratitude and appreciation. That did not change with the amount of stuff they have. That's why you can meet people who are poor, poverty-stricken people, who happen to have a whole lot of money. If they're in a state of wanting, if they're in a state of need, if they feel like they don't have enough, then that is poverty. It's not defined by the numbers in your bank account. In fact, if you ask people who are often wealthy, like, what's your number, what's your dollar amount that will make you feel like you're secure finally, that you have enough? It's always going to be a little bit more. And when they get it, it often jumps. It keeps going. Now that is not affluence. That is not abundance. That is a bottomless pit of an ever-raising baseline. So whenever you get there, it just keeps eluding you. So, and the reason why this is important is because when you can keep your baseline low, if you can keep reminding yourself to pull it down, then it makes gratitude just your overflowing, overwhelming sensation. My grandpa was a master at this. I tell the story all the time when I saw him in the hospital, and he was just like, falling apart, things in him, no energy, dry mouth, and all he could do was talk about the blessings, the wonderful care he was receiving. Compared to the rest of the world, like the fact that he was even able to stay alive this long is just miraculous. How different that is than when people take it for granted or feel entitled, which is even worse. You see that all the time on the news, people feel entitled. And from that state, these gifts, you can't even enjoy them because you feel like you deserve them. There's that great Louis C.K. Skit that he did on the Conan show where if you search YouTube for everything's amazing, nobody's happy. And he talks about how quickly we become used to these things. That how people complain about their airport delays when, how many years ago was it that it would take months to travel across the country? Several people would die, there'd be births along the way. But we adjust our baseline. That's one of the reasons why, even as technology gives us so many more things and opportunities, overall happiness is slipping. Because unless you adjust your baseline, you don't see these things as gifts. You see them as entitlements. Now, doing this on a physical sense of your stuff, like, oh my gosh, I have a car, I have my own motor vehicle that can transfer me around the world at speeds that are unheard of for the majority of history. Wow! Instead of, my car is not new, I don't have a Bluetooth adapter or whatever. But it can go way beyond your physical things. Although that helps, that's amazing. And I keep coming back to water because that's one of the things that it's so easy and it's so obvious. Who here took a shower today? A hot shower? Think about that. That there are millions of people who have to hike to get a glass of water to drink. And we have nozzles on our walls that will actually shoot water out of it. And if it feels, it gives me a chill, we can change the temperature. Oh, now it feels good. Woo, yeah. Let me get some steam in the room first. And I don't know why that voice went up 6 octaves. That's my I'm obnoxious and entitled voice. I'm obnoxious. Okay. So that's the physical realm, and that's a really healthy thing to do. But it goes so much deeper than that, or I believe it can. If we can really take a step back and not compare ourselves to other people on the planet, but compare ourselves with other species. Whoa. We have the ability to create. We have the ability to imagine. Wow. And then take it to just other matter in the universe. That rock. Even that tree, it's a living thing, and yet it can't perceive these light waves as color. Oh, wow, I am so blessed. You mean that tree can't perceive these vibrations as sounds and doesn't notice the melody? Wow. Compared to all the other matter on this planet, in this universe, wow, am I blessed. Wow, my baseline is, wow. And from that place, when every sensation can be seen as a gift, then the petty things that get us upset, the things that get us stressed, it's like if you can snap back to that baseline, you're just living the dream. Wow, 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 wow.
You only live once. Enjoy the color.